Where the Bucs go from here, I have no idea, man.
I think Tampa Bay's in real bad shape, man. I think they don't have a coach of the future. Clearly, they don't have a quarterback in position there. Tom's, media address at the end of the game sure sounded like a goodbye.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
Maybe the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Okay, so you talk about the NFC South here a little bit. Tom Brady and the Bucs just got absolutely smoked on Monday night by the Dallas Cowboys. Absolutely just got their asses handed to them, man. Tom Brady looked old all of a sudden. And to be honest with you, this has been the slowest moving train in 2022. Has it not, Matt? Like, we've seen this now for like 8 weeks. It went from like the first 4 weeks of like, oh, Tampa's just trying to like get a rhythm. And then it was like, no, this is who they are. They're one of the 5 worst offenses in the NFL. And it showed here against Dallas as their defense was kind of sort of teeing off on all these different players. Tampa made it a little closer at the end, but overall, the Bucs offense looked absolutely atrocious, especially against this Dallas D.
Got overwhelmed by just a younger, faster team there in Dallas. And it was one of those games where it's like, okay, football makes sense because that, like, I know that I'm sure some people hadn't been tuned all the way in on what was going on with the Bucs this year. If you weren't, that's what it looked like. Outside of the Panthers game, that, in week 17, where Mike Evans scores 3 touchdowns and rips it deep, all that. That was what it looked like, what you saw against Dallas on Monday night. That's what the 2022 Tampa Bay Buccaneers were. I joked on Twitter that they died as they lived, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, doing exactly what they did all year long, man. So I was almost like, yeah, there's no like Tom Brady mysticism. There's no mystique of Brady in the playoffs or his history versus Dallas. What mattered was one team was better than the other, and that team decidedly blew out the other. Where the Bucs go from here, I have no idea, man. It's
they're in trouble. I'm going to be honest with you. I think they're in trouble. I think I don't know. For me, I was utterly unimpressed with what Todd Bowles did. I've said it on this program. I've said it on my DirecTV show many times. Todd Bowles, to me, I don't think has learned a damn thing from his tenure with the Jets. He's doing a lot of the same things, making a lot of the same mistakes. He's overly conservative. Like, for example, Todd, what are we doing out here with Leonard Fournette? I mean, are you serious, right? Like, he had 5 carries for 11 yards. He had 1 target, 1 reception for 6. Meanwhile, the younger, faster, stronger, more athletic Rachaad White, 7 for 41. 5.85 yards per carry, but you give him 7 carries, right? Like, out of the passing game, 6 targets, 4 catches, 36 yards. We're talking about a running back getting 9 yards of reception. Todd, what are we doing out here switching, Leonard Fournette every other drive with Rachaad White? I just don't. Like I said, I just the veteran deference and all that stuff, like, just to me, it doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense all year. And man, I tell you what, I thought the coaching staff really let down the offensive unit.
Didn't you hear Troy Aikman's note about how they're resting him in the second half of the year so he could become playoff Lenny? Didn't you hear that?
Right. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. Also, I couldn't believe that Troy went back to that note in like the second half.
Why would
Troy,
you say that?
Let it go. And I love.
Man.
By the way, I love Troy Aikman. I think he's great at this.
I think he's really good too. Yeah.
But all that. No, I'm not. I'm actually not taking a shot at Troy Aikman. I'm other than the fact that he went back to that note in the fourth quarter. Although maybe he was as incredulous about it as we are being right now, because when he said that, it's like, oh, he got that note from the coaching staff. Like they really thought that was a thing. Which is weird, though, because didn't Leonard Fournette tweet that he's like playing through a Liz Frank injury or something like that? But all I thought when I heard the Troy Aikman say that was that Byron Leftwich, Todd Bowles, they were telling Aikman that they believed it, that they were resting him so that he could become playoff Lenny. Well, congratulations. Your offense stinks once again.
I think Tampa Bay's in real bad shape, man. I think they don't have a coach of the future. Clearly, they don't have a quarterback in position there. Man, Tom's media address at the end of the game sure sounded like a goodbye. I mean, and again, you look at how they finished out this season. He's 45 years old. He could ride off into the sunset if he wants. Something tells me he's probably not going to. Probably he's got one or two more years in him before he's like finally wants to hang it up. I'll ask you this though, Matt. I think physically, he looked fine. I just wonder mentally, because for me, keep in mind too, what made Tom Brady special, in my opinion, I don't think was the physicality, right? It's not like he's out here just, big arm, or run around with, with all this fluid mobility. No, it's just, I think what made him special was his mentality, right? Like the fact that he could be down, 28-3. Hey, it's fine. He knows exactly how to come back from that, right? Like that's mentally, he was one of the strongest players to ever play this game. You can never take that away from him. So I just wonder, like, is the mental processing still there? Is the passion still there? Are all those things still there with Tom Brady? Because I think physically, and you could tell me if you disagree, but I think physically he looks fine.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like when they go real up tempo, and he's probably the one out there calling the plays, getting them in the right position, and they're playing fast. Like that was another thing that was annoying about the Bucs all year, is that when they got to those like no huddle and up tempo situations, then the offense would start clicking and they'd start moving. And that even happened a little bit against the Cowboys, right? Like they have that long drive. They put together a drive there in the no huddle situation. It's like, okay, well that's another thing that's so annoying about the Bucs, is that why they're so frustrating, because like this is somewhere within you, but you can't consistently be that, whether it's offensive line play or coaching or whatever. There's just always was a stumbling block. But the weird thing with me about Tom Brady, and I agree with you that media address certainly seemed like a goodbye, because I think one way or another it's a goodbye to Tampa. I don't think he's coming back to Tampa. I think there's just that bridge is done. That whether it's burned or not, that's done. I know that there's a common thought like, oh, Brady doesn't want to go out like that, getting blown away in the playoffs. When it doesn't, you had your chance to walk away and ride away in the sunset, right? Like you had your chance after the Super Bowl for sure. And then you had another chance last year when you were one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in 2021. You were probably the number 2 MVP to Aaron Rodgers. You had your moment to ride away when you were at the peak of your powers, and you didn't. You came back, and he looks so skinny, and he doesn't want to take any hits. I mean, that's my wife's joking about like, oh, he's got all that work done on his face. He doesn't want to get it ruined. He doesn't want just doesn't want to get hit. But that the thought, by the way, the thought of like, oh, Brady doesn't want to get hit's been popular all year long, but I hadn't considered that. That's a good point. That's a good point, Mrs. Harmon. I had not considered. I hadn't considered. He doesn't want to get that new nose knocked off his face or whatever.
That's a great point.
Either way, like. And look, it comes down. All these guys at the end of the day, when they get to a certain age, don't want to get hit. But it's part of the job, man. I mean, like, and if you're not like a create out of structure type of guy, and Brady, as you mentioned, has never been that. What's your ceiling? Like, I think Brady can come back next year and be the 20th, 15th. Like 20th is probably too low. You could probably be like the 15th best quarterback in the NFL, and he could probably do that for like 2 more years. But to what end? There is no. I don't think there's like a graceful storybook ending, because what is he going to come back with the Raiders? Have you seen their pass protection? Have you seen the bad habits that Derek Carr got into with checkdowns behind that offensive line?
Right.
I don't think Brady's going to do much better either.
That's why I think San Francisco is actually a good spot. You're going to work with absolutely work with a coach that I think will know how to get him into the right spots. And again, Shanahan, one of Shanahan's biggest issues is that he has trouble closing out games, right? And then you marry that with one of the best closers to ever do it in Tom Brady. I just think it's a perfect fit. I really do, man. Plus, with those weapons there, I love it.
There is no way Kyle is giving up the controller to Tom Brady. What are we just talking about? His best moments are when he's no huddle. He's out there calling the shots. Shanahan is not gonna get. Shanahan wants Kirk Cousins. He wants Brock Purdy. Like he wants Jimmy Garoppolo. Point I'm gonna point at it. You're gonna shoot it. That's what's gonna
Right.
happen. Brady's not doing that. I just, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that's a week 9, week 8, like all of the headlines are bad. The infighting is poison, and everybody just gets shit canned after that nightmare. That one I just can't imagine. That would be stunning. That would be stunning. But I mean,
or after week 9, they're 9-0 and just kicking everyone's ass. And yeah, they hate each other, but they both just love winning.
sometimes if you do want to, evolve, you want to reach heights you've never reached before, which I mean for Shanahan it would be, winning a Super Bowl. Obviously Brady's, again, he's won enough. What do you need another one for? Who cares? Like, how about you get your personal life in order, Tom? You're divorced.
Go hang out with your kids, man.
You're
Come
divorced.
on, bro.
When's the last time what your cryptocurrency nonsense is up in flames?
Oh no.
Why don't you get that house in order before you come back and win a 100th Super Bowl? Who cares? But I don't know, man.
I'll tell you what, man. I think in the right situation, I think you're doing him a disservice saying his ceiling is capped at like the 15th best quarterback. I feel like if he's in the right situation, I feel like, again, he could flirt with another top 5 finish at the quarterback position, man.
I guess, and I think one thing that is, like revisionist history about the Brady and Tampa Bay thing is like, oh, Brady came there and saved that team. And they certainly did do a little bit of like, all right, we're going to go add Gronk. We're going to add, Antonio Brown. We're going to add Leonard Fournette. We're going to add a bunch of dudes, right?
We're going to draft a Hall of Fame right tackle in Tristan Wirfs, right?
Right, but I think a lot of that is like they had good homegrown talent there. Mike Evans, homegrown talent. Chris Godwin, homegrown talent. Cam Braid had some moments, like obviously whatever, but I think that
defense is all homegrown.
Defense was all homegrown, but like the deck was stacked for Brady to be. And I'm not taking anything away from Brady because I do think he was fantastic in 2020 and 2020, and especially 2021. He was really fantastic. But it is that perfect situation, that ideal situation that you're talking about. The offensive line was great. Ryan Jensen obviously had been hurt all this past year. They had 2 guards, one retire, one leaving free agency. Right. So they had this great offensive line in front of Brady. They have these great skill position players, with Mike Evans and Godwin, and then all the other dudes that they added there. And San Francisco probably is the one place that I think
exactly
that you could do that because, like, again, I talk about Las Vegas.
Even defensively. Even
defensively, for sure.
It's right there.
But all these other teams that he's linked to, man, and I remain highly skeptical of the San Francisco thing, only because it's like, if they go win a Super Bowl or they make a Super Bowl run with Brock Purdy, what's the point? What's the point of going out and getting Tom Brady? But whatever. Let's just put that one aside for a second. The other teams that he's linked to, like I've seen him linked to Las Vegas, like we talked about, their offensive line stinks. Will they be able to bring back their defense stinks? Will they be able to bring back Josh Jacobs? I know they have Devontae Adams. Obviously, Devontae Adams is awesome. Are they going to retain Darren Waller after that didn't really work out last year? Are they going to throw like 80, 90 balls at Mac Hollins again? I hope not. And then I've seen him linked to Tennessee. He's going to sit behind that offensive line, throwing Traylon Burks and the other guys they got there. I don't think so. So it's just really hard to, outside of the 49ers one, which like I said, I'm skeptical about. I really think it's hard to find like a fit for Brady to be anything more than the 15th best quarterback, because that situation was so perfect in Tampa Bay outside of this past year. And I don't know where we're going to find that again.